Hey everyone, I'm happy to be with you today on Read Through the Word, and we're going to be taking a look at the verse in Proverbs chapter 19 and verse 17. That's where we'll be today on the concept that was really new to me, the idea of lending to the Lord. You mean the Lord doesn't have resources? So he needs me to lend him resources so that he can take care of the world? No, that's not what Scripture is telling us there. In fact, there's a great message. I don't know if it was a podcast or some kind of recording. I don't know that on Desiring God, John Piper. I would love for you, ladies and gentlemen, to take a look at that. It's I've linked it there on your notes, I believe. Yes, I did. So pop over there and see a full teaching on the idea of that lending concept. We're just going to hit on it for just a second here, the idea, the concept, and then work on the thoughts of around that. Okay. So lending God, we're not lending God money. We're not lending God resources. In fact, really, as I'm sitting here talking, it's kind of a crazy concept because everything belongs to God anyways. So we're not lending him when we help the poor. We are giving back the resources that he has blessed us with. And then, in turn, what this means, in a nutshell, again, there's a greater teaching on this by John Piper, but in a nutshell, what this means is, hey, God, I've got this from you. You own everything. But I am going to trust you. I'm going to give out of what I have, out of my pool of resources, and I'm going to trust you to replenish that, to multiply that for the person that I'm giving it to, and to redeem that back for me. That's basically what this scripture is saying. God does not need our money and our resources. In fact, they're not ours. But he invites us to be part of that because look at the scripture. He says, Solomon says, he will repay you. If you help the poor, you're lending to the Lord and he'll repay you. Now, here's the thing. This can be one of those ones of the verses that looks like some kind of prosperity gospel that, oh, I'm going to give so I can get back. And I'm going to give $100,000 and God's going to give me back $200,000. No, that's not how it works either. When we give out of that benevolent heart and that trusting heart that God will supply all of our needs according to his riches and glory, according to Scripture, then we trust him to replenish, like I said, redeem what we've given out in a way that we need it. A person that can give $100,000 to a person in need, a ministry, a church, a family, or even a lesser amount, even $5, $10, whatever it might be, God might see fit to double that back in a monetary amount, or he might give blessings in another way. We then, once we give it back, we send it out, we trust him and how he chooses to replenish and redeem it for our good. That's really where this all lands. And I thought it was truly interesting that the word poor is not just financially destitute. We immediately, because we live in this fleshly body and we live with fleshly eyes and insights, we naturally think that this is a person that is financially destitute. It's not always about money. It means reduced. When it comes to the Proverbs, it means reduced or weak or helpless. There may be someone who is financially well off, but does not have the resource, the skill set, the time, the energy to do what needs to be done for them, and they might be considered helpless. And there may be something that you could do, and you may sit back be thinking, oh, there's no way I could help this person, when actually you have the exact resource, the exact skill set, to help in this situation. So we really need to change our our mind, thought, and processing on that word poor. And I looked up the opposite, an antonym of poor. There are so many stingy. Of lend, excuse me, not poor, lend, stingy, withholding, greedy. And I thought, wow, it was like an aha moment to me. When I'm not willing to lend, again, we're using that word correctly when we're saying the word lend. We know God doesn't need it. He is inviting us to be a part of this great story that he's writing for this person or this situation. But when we don't lend, we are withholding. I don't think I want to go on record for being someone that withholds from God. Just a thought. But there are some several verses in the Proverbs from the NLT. I usually put the translation there, but I didn't after every one because they're all from the NLT. But this is not the only verse that Solomon speaks of this idea of helping the poor, the weak, the reduced, or the helpless. So I pulled all those together for you for your lesson today so you can look at those. But I wanted you to pay special attention to the Living Bible paraphrase. Remember, that's one of my favorite go-tos. Listen to this. When you help the poor, you are lending to the Lord, and he pays wonderful interest on your loan. Now, that's a language we understand. We understand when we invest money somewhere, we want interest on that. And so we understand that language. God will pay us back in ways that we can't even imagine, think, or ask. So take a look at those verses, and bottom line, it's give, either don't give, and I won't get. That's it. Or either I give and I trust. God's not going to unsave you because you're not giving. He's not. He's not going to unsave you because you look at someone who is helpless, reduced, and weak and go, yeah, I'm not going to help them. Or just turned your eye to them. He's not going to unsave you. You're just going to miss out on the blessing. That's what it is. You'll miss out on that. And then there's a couple great quotes there from a commentary on it that I shared with you. And I just, love some of these I love Adam Clark. He says, and in no case has he ever forfeited his word. So, it says that he'll repay you. And Clark's response is, and in no case has he ever forfeited his word. He hasn't. God has never forfeited his word. So, yeah, there's some great quotes there. And just the whole idea of, but if anyone has the world's goods, and by the way, let me just share with you, even the poorest of the poor in our country are among the richest in the world. We are a very, very prosperous nation. However, that doesn't mean someone that has money doesn't have a need that we can't help and lend out. And what the lending and the sharing of what we have with someone in need represents is it's the evidence of God abiding in us. So when we choose to be stingy and withhold, we're basically just demonstrating to the world that God really doesn't take up too much space in your heart and in my heart. That's a hard pill to swallow. We want to think we're righteous. We want to think that God fills us and abides in us. Does he? Am I demonstrating that in my sharing of my world's goods with those in need? It's a great question to ask ourselves today. We'll see you next time on Read Through the Word.